This is Steinway Street, named for the piano company, and it's sort of the main street of Astoria, Queens, and I used to live just below this building. Across the street from me is the Astoria Theater. This theater was a 3,000-some seat combination vaudeville and movie house, and it was running. I saw movies at this theater when I moved to the neighborhood in 2000, and then after 9/11 it closed. It was opened originally in 1920. Now it's a Duane Reade on the bottom and a gym on the top. There's a lot of lost theaters like this in New York. This guy's going, "Stop the show!" which is exactly what happened to dozens of theaters in New York. This is the Steinway Theater, just down the block from the Astoria Theater, and now it's a Conway clothing store, but it was originally a combination vaudeville and movie theater. Here's an old vaudeville bill right here of what used to be playing there. Now let's move on to another part of Queens. I was riding the 7 train and I looked out the window and I saw this building. And when you see a building like that, you know you are looking at an old theater. I got off the train and discovered I was in Sunnyside, and the theater, there's the front of it, is the Bliss Theater from 1930, and it survived until 1965 when it became a Jehovah's Witness church, and it is designed in an Egyptian style.
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
Upper Broadway in Manhattan has a lot of theaters, like the Coliseum right here. This is a 3,500 seat house built in 1920. It was run by RKO. It was part of the subway circuit, as they call it, because it was a major vaudeville house. You can see the last movie that played here was Contagion. This theater was split into 4 screens, and it actually made it until 2011. It's still sitting there empty, so it's possible that it could be reopened and restored. Okay, now here's the real gem, the United Palace. It's a Thomas Lamb theater. Thomas Lamb was a great theater architect. It was originally one of the Loew's Wonder Theaters, built in 1930 for vaudeville and movies. And then in 1969 it closed and became a church, which it still is, but they also do live performances of all kinds, and the television show Smash has been filmed here. Look at that box office, how great that is. The other great thing is we get to go inside and take a look. The church has really done a beautiful job at keeping this theater beautifully restored and up to date. The outside could use a little love, but the inside is beautiful.
Hey!
This grocery store was originally the Uptown Theater, and it was built in 1922 and died around 1960. I'm standing in front of what used to be the William Fox Audubon Theater. This was a 2,300 seat theater constructed in 1912, and in 1927, one of the first to feature talkies. It's another Thomas Lamb design, now housing a bank and a chain restaurant with offices on the top. but it's got beautiful decor, still showing, still evident. You look at that and you think that could only have been a theater. This is the Loews Rio, and it used to have a 99-cent store in there, and you could go in and see the actual auditorium. Here's the original entrance. Here's the Hamilton Theater from 1913. There have been reports this year that it's been purchased for $19 million, so somebody is going to do something with it. Right now when you look in the windows, it looks kind of empty in those rooms up there. There's a pop-up Halloween store in here. You can see on the ground here a little leftover Hamilton tiling. And the best thing is, the house is still intact. It's falling apart, but it's there. This is the Gotham Theater from 1922. In the 1930s, it was renamed the Del Mar. It had 2,800 seats, and now it's a McDonald's.
You get more out of life when you go out to a movie.
Here I am in front of the Metro Theater. It's one of the theaters that still really looks like it's a theater, but it is closed and dilapidated. The Metro Theater first opened in 1933, and it actually made it until 2005 before closing. It looks pretty dilapidated right now. There was hope for a little while that it was going to reopen with the Texas-based Alamo Drafthouse Cinema taking over, but alas, that isn't going to happen after all, so for now, it sits there empty. This is Keith's 81st Street, a vaudeville house, later run by RKO, and it's got a Staples in it. It's always a big box store or a pharmacy that goes into these old theaters. Now we're going to go down to 42nd Street. This strip used to be full of legitimate theaters. They all turned into movie theaters during the 30s, and then during the 70s and 80s they started showing porn and grindhouse films. Well, now all that's been changed, and in the late 1990s all of these theaters were repurposed or restored, but there is one sitting there waiting to be restored. It's the Times Square Theater. And there it is with a big advertisement hiding it. But if we go back in time, this is what it really looked like. And here's the interior. In 2012, it was announced that the theater is going to be restored, so that's great news. This building is the Columbia Theater from 1910. In the 1930s, it was named the Mayfair, and then it was named the DeMille, and it's where Psycho premiered. It was another one of those beautiful Thomas Lamb theaters. This is a long line of people waiting to get in to see Psycho. Today you can see just a bit of the marquee there and some of the exterior decor. In 1976, the theater was triplexed and called the Embassy, and that's what it was called when I moved to New York. But now it's closed and gutted and lost to us forever.